We good? We on?
We are live officially. So what's up, Greg? How we doing today?
I'm fighting through, Matt. Navigating through the coronavirus. I'm social distancing in my car right now.
Yeah. So I just wanted to jump on here. For those who don't know, you are the owner of City Abstract. Tell us a little bit about your company.
We're a full-service title company in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York. I've been in business for close to 15 years, and we have close to 50 employees.
Yep. So you guys are, one of my preferred partners, obviously. So the market's changing, right? We're going through a lot of changes right now with the courthouses, a lot of different rumors I've read online, especially on Facebook. So I kind of wanted to share, I wanted you to share, and so everybody here can hear it from, the owner of a company who's being told from their underwriters what needs to happen. The biggest scare that I heard as a realtor was, once the courthouse is closed, you can't get title. The mortgage companies won't have clear title. The current deals, we can't do bring downs, and then you can't close. So if you could kind of share just, I guess, start with courthouses closing and how that's affecting current transactions.
Sure. So there are obviously some courthouses that have announced closures in the state of New Jersey. And that will affect the way that we do search work, the way that we obtain bring downs. There is some conflicting information for sure out there as far as the closures themselves. So there's some counties that are announcing closures, but they're not really closed. They're only closed to the public. So walk-ins, for instance. Camden County has announced a full closure. So there's a difference. The difference meaning that if a county is electronic, which most of them are in New Jersey, a full closure would mean that we wouldn't be able to electronically record any documentation. However, with these closures or partial closures, it is not interrupting the ability to insure any transactions. And I think everybody needs to understand that that's the main message as a whole. The only thing that's being affected as far as the insurability of any transactions is if there's a transaction coming out of an estate. All of the surrogate's offices seem to be closed, and obtaining any probated will information from those offices is unavailable. So that does not mean that those types of transactions are necessarily uninsurable. However, they have to be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. So as far as the counties, Matt, that's my long-winded answer to that.
Yeah. So, let's talk about people that have deals right now. Let's talk about the pending deals right now. If, I have a handful going to closing right now. What about the bring downs? Like, is it safe? Are you guys still closing those files? And because I've heard different title companies say different things. So what's your company specifically doing?
Yes, so we're closing them, and we are able to obtain the bring downs. Remember, as long as the counties are open. Again, Camden County not being open, what's going to wind up happening is all the underwriters, the insurance companies themselves, have already announced that they are going to insure the gap period, bring down or no bring down. So that will not affect. And we all have to remember that
gap to agents who may not know.
Yep, gap periods are insured even during a normal market when there are no crises going on. Your policy covers the gap period. The gap period is just defined as from when the bring down is actually obtained and whatever the board date is on that bring down. The board date is going to reflect whenever where the county is. So for instance, if the county's up to date, the board date will reflect the current date. If they're behind, the board date will reflect whatever date is that's on that board date. But all that means is that the gap period from that board date reflected on the bring down up until the deed being recorded, the new deed being recorded into the purchaser's name, that's defined as the gap period. So if a county's closed and they're not recording any documentation, that gap period is obviously going to be extended. but it will be insured. But you got to remember too, and keep in mind, if the county's closed and they're not recording deeds or mortgages, they're not recording anything.
Mhm.
So it's not like anything's going to be able to get in between. So the exposure still doesn't exist any differently as it would during a normal market.
Right. So for those who don't understand the I guess recording side of that, if I'm a mechanic and I put a roof on a home and I decide to go record a lien, that's not going to hit before in the middle of your recorded deed. That's waiting to be recorded or bring downs or anything, because you guys and that's what your other insurance is for, right?
That's going to sit in the pile just like everything else is.
Okay.
Correct. And the gap period's insured regardless.
Gotcha. Now, I guess for people that I just got done showing a house, I'm going to send an offer in. I'm going to open title with your company. Tell me the process today versus what we're used to doing, if you wouldn't mind.
We're still pulling title. We're pulling title off of all the electronic records that are available. You got to remember, once things are on record, they're memorialized, whether the county's shut down or whether they're not. We can pull that electronic information and use it the same way we always do.
So, in regards to, now I'm going to bring an attorney on later for everybody's help in regards to contracts and other delays, including appraisers and other things we're hearing. But as far as title, assuming you have online access to the courthouse or they're electronic, you guys are still business as usual. You'll have your title searches back. Okay.
Absolutely. And there's going to be some changes, I think, Matt, to keep in mind. Since you and I spoke earlier today, there's been some developments as far as electronic DocuSign. I would get prepared for that. That's definitely going to come.
For closing, right?
For closings, correct. And remote online notarization.
Okay.
So as long as all the lenders are set up, which a lot of them are, and the ones that aren't, it's not much for them to get set up with that stuff. There will be third-party notaries that are logging in. That could be anywhere, as long as the borrowers have a camera like we're on now, or the ability to FaceTime. The details of that will be worked out.
Good. Now with that also, I advised one of my realtors this morning, not to go to closing. For all you realtors out there, if you got questions, type them in. I can see the comments, so I'll ask either of us. But in general, I prepped my realtor and I said, there's no reason for you to be at closing, and no matter what your age, and Greg, we were talking about your closers, having closers at different ages. We just don't, if you're not needed in the room, there's really no need to be there. And it's nice that realtors always want to show up, take pictures and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, we're not needed. So my clients are going in advance, and I guess your office is kind of getting ready to kind of have this, I guess, personless closing almost.
Yeah, I mean, we're not there yet, but we can see via the memos, via the correspondence with our underwriters who are in direct contact with the Fed, who are in direct contact with the big banks, that it's starting to move in that direction. And the more we think about it and the more we converse about it, it just makes more sense. It makes more sense as a whole. It makes more sense as legislators to get up there and announce that, even though the real estate market and the Fed remain open, they're doing everything in their capability to keep people separated from one another. So if they can fast track some of this legislation, which I think they will, which really just entails lenders to be prepared to have notes signed that aren't wet signatures, and all of the counties to accept documents that are not wet signatures, I think they're going to be instructed to do so. Gotcha,
man. Well, I appreciate it. Anything that you want to share with everybody who's looking right now for, because I've heard a couple other companies that are not opening new orders and stuff like that. So let them know where you're located and the best way to get in touch with you.
Yeah, I mean, we're available. I mean, you can look at our websites at the abstract. You can contact any of our offices. I will send this out there as a not as a cautionary type of but just as a full disclosure. We have been contacted, and there are title agencies that are not accepting new orders. But just keep in mind, it's very busy. It's very busy because interest rates are low. There's a refinance boom going on. It's busy because of all of the pivoting and the adjustments that we're all being forced to make right now. So if you do decide to use us or any other title company, because a lot of our agencies have been talking to one another as well, which has been nice. Just keep in mind, it's very busy. It's an uncharted territory and environment as far as the market's concerned, and just temper your expectations as far as turnaround times are concerned. So there's a lot of companies out there, Matt, that have also just not taken on new business because they can't service the business that they have due to the market as well. We're not one of those, but I think it's important to keep all that in mind.
Gotcha. So we got a couple questions here. First, we talked about it earlier, COs. Why don't you explain? Short answer is, I think it was Janet, that the only person that typically cares about the CO is the township. But Greg, answer for your title company.
Yeah, I mean, COs always have been and will be. They are not a title issue. However, they are definitely something that can delay your settlements. So I think, Matt, you and I talked about this at length earlier. It's going to be interesting. There may be escrows that are held, but I think it's really a negotiation still between the buyer and the seller, on how you guys agree to address them.
Yeah, and as a realtor and broker, my opinion for you guys out there wondering, should I get a CO or, how will it affect it? I think we're going to find out over the next 2 weeks what's really going to happen with the city inspectors not wanting to go into homes to expose themselves. But I think it's a negotiation where you could close with an escrow once you have a home inspection, and as long as the city has their list of repairs required, that may be coming up. And I see here a question, should you push out closings? The best advice I can give is to have an attorney get involved. I've seen 2 different virus addendums now where there's automatic extensions based on a buyer getting the virus and being quarantined for 2 weeks, a seller getting the virus and being quarantined for 2 to 4 weeks, the township being closed, the courthouse is being closed. So guys, in all honesty, you should be advising your clients to get to seek counsel, especially the ones that are currently under contract, because they may go for their CO right now and not be able to get it. But in regards to title, it never affects title, right, Greg? You guys can sign off on not having it.
No. Correct.
Gotcha. Let me see. We got any other questions? Just timing. 30 days is okay. Guys, your closings, I mean, you guys can still open and close title, right, Greg? Doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah. Sure. So, I would think, listen, Matt, I would say that there's going to be some delays, but I wouldn't say that they would be super significant. I mean, turnaround times are going to be, I would say if we're used to getting title turned around in certain counties from 3 to 5 days, I would expect it to be at least 7 to 10, for now, just because, we all rely on the counties, and some of that information to be turned around. But,
yeah.
And people are working from home and so on and so forth, so.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I don't have any other questions here. I think we helped out the community here. So I appreciate you taking 15 minutes with us and sharing the knowledge that you got, man. So thanks a lot. And guys, I'll post their website. Actually, I see Rachel's on here. Rachel, if you wouldn't mind posting your websites so that anybody here with, with questions and that wants to reach out to you, just reach out. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Have a great day.
Thanks, Matt.
All right. See you.